Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the Genealogy Center for another Tuesday afternoon program. We're glad that you're here, and we are looking forward to today's program, which will discuss genealogy resources at the Midwest Genealogy Center in Missouri. So today's speaker is Kim Alberg, and she's the Genealogy Research Associate at the Midwest Genealogy Center in Independence, Missouri. She has been a genealogy enthusiast since her early childhood, and Kim blends her passion for genealogy with her 39 years of classroom instruction and education experience to assist and educate MGC customers seeking to learn more about their heritage. So we're excited to have her here, and I'll go ahead and hand it over to her.
All right. Hello and greetings from Missouri. We just saw somebody pop up with a St. Louis address, so we're right there with you. I'm going to ask, I'm not going to monitor chat specifically throughout the class. And if we're playing music, that should not be playing music. I think we're good. Anyway, I want to extend my thank yous for letting us be a part of your program today and welcome you to this virtual tour of the Midwest Genealogy Center. Again, my name is Kim, and we will be pretty much pretending that you are visiting our center and give you a walk along to see what MGC customers see and do when they're in our building for the day. Of course, we do welcome everyone and invite everyone to come see us if you're ever in the Kansas City area. Independence is just outside of Kansas City. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and begin. A little bit about Midwest Genealogy Center first. And that first part is we are located in Independence, Missouri. We are located just north of I-70 in Independence. Actually, we're off of Lee Summit Road, which is a little confusing because Lee Summit is another town, but it's the road that takes you to Lee Summit from Independence. We are the largest freestanding public, as in tax-supported, genealogy library in the United States. Now, you know there are other libraries, other genealogy libraries that are larger, but we are a public library. We're a branch of the Mid-Continent Public Library System. And so that's, with all of those words in there, we get a lot of people in because we have a lot of access to many, many records. We offer free access to more than 750,000 records, in fact. And of those, you can see on the screen, about 200,000 of them are published resources. This is going to include maps, books, biographies, city directories, periodicals, and a growing collection of yearbooks, which have really become popular in recent years, partly because it is a way that we can connect the face of a person with a published confirmed name. Now, I guess yearbooks can have some mistakes in them, but it is certainly a way that we can make sure that the face we're looking at is the name that we were attempting to see. We also have a collection of family histories, resources that have been published by other people who have then either donated them or we've purchased them so that when people come to our building, then they can read that family history while we're here. We have a large microfilm or microform collection. We have over 80,000 cataloged microforms, so fiche and film. We also have more than 5 times that many resources in the microform section that do not show up in a catalog search. They are works in progress. Our catalogers are working diligently to try to get all of that done, but it is a very large quantity of film and fiche. On our website, we have just short of 80 online databases. Most of these can be accessed from any Mid-Continent Public Library branch, but certainly from here. And most of them can actually be accessed from a home computer or tablet for people who have a Mid-Continent Public Library card or a research card or a paid card, which we're going to talk about in just a minute here. There's only really one database, American Ancestors, that people would have to access physically when they're in our building itself. We also are very proud of our knowledgeable staff who offer friendly assistance every day. We field questions anywhere from general tech issues, how do I post my resume, to questions that are very specifically related to genealogy. As we're talking MGC's history, this is just really kind of a brief snippet of it. We did start as the Missouri Room of Mid-Continent Public Library's Independence Branch. Eventually, that becomes named the Genealogy and Local History Branch. It's moved to an entire level of a new branch that was built, North Independence Branch. And then we pretty much outgrew that. And so in 2008, in fact, we just celebrated our 15th birthday. We celebrated the grand opening of the Midwest Genealogy Center at its current location. After that, the only real significant change since then, in 2019, to our south, as you're looking at the building to the right, there was a 400-seat community hall added so that we can do presentations, but also because the community itself needed a meeting space. And so our location was selected as the place to receive the community hall. It's amazing. It can break down into 4 rooms of 100 or hold a large group gathering, which in fact, there was one there this morning. So we're happy to see it getting used well. And so with that, let's begin the tour. I need you to sit back and imagine that you've just entered the front doors of the Midwest Genealogy Center. And so with that, we welcome you. Of course, the first place you're likely going to start is going to be the information desk, which is right at the top. Let me get rid of these meeting controls there. That should be better. The information desk. While you're at the information desk, we do have welcome folders for everyone who comes in the door. And if you're visiting from outside of the area, then we welcome you as family, and we'll offer you a guest pass for your stay while you're here from out of town. The information desk is also where you'd sign up for what we call an access card. That's actually our system's library card is called an access card. Or if you want to, you can purchase a research card or a paid card. That's going to give you home access as if you were a local tax-paying customer. And so research cards are $35 for 6 months. Paid cards are $70 for a year, but the paid cards are only available to customers who live in Missouri and Kansas for contract reasons. If you forgot your flash drive, if you forgot headphones and you decide you need them, if you want to purchase essentials like our absolutely stellar MGC tote bags, then the information desk is where you're also going to stop to do that. A lot of times when people come into our building, the very first place they go is the customer lounge. It's actually just inside the doors to the right-hand side as you come in. And to be real honest, a lot of times people stop there because that's where you're going to find the first set of restrooms in our building. But also we have in that area a place to store your coat. In addition to using the restroom, you can purchase bottled water to use through the day or sodas. If you want to begin your day there, it is, again, it's a good starting place. It's a good place to gather if you're meeting other people, and maybe you just need a place to kind of to collect and to get organized for the day. Of course, during the day, customers are going to go to the lounge to eat and to drink, to catch up with friends and family, but even to take breaks throughout the day to kind of sort out their discoveries between research intervals. The lounge has vending machines. It also has subway lockers. Those are the kind of lockers where you put a quarter in, take the key. At the end of the day, you put the key back in, get your quarter back. These are, of course, much appreciated by customers who are planning to spend the day with us, but who don't want to manage their gear the whole time, especially during the colder winter months. So as we're working our way towards the first floor, I'm going to tell you the first floor is largely our electronic resources floor. That's where we're going to find computer stations, our audiovisual materials, microform. That's all going to be on the first floor, but we also have print resources on the first floor, such as our young adult collection, our children's genealogy section, collection of city directories, immigration and passenger list resources, and our fiction section. So our fiction section used to be housed on a cart. We're really a nonfiction sort of library, but the plots of each of these books feature genealogy in one way or another, and some of them are absolutely wonderful. So as we move around the first floor, one of the things that you're going to reach first are our research stations. This is where we're going to offer genealogists a place to spread out. The desks are quite large, they're very comfortable to work there, and we can access online resources. And as you can see in this picture, staff assistance is always there as needed. So we have 8 computer stations for research purposes, for genealogy research. We also have a computer lab. This is going to hold 12 additional stations, and we actually have 12 laptops that we can check out to users also. But the larger desks on the previous slide, we reserve for genealogy. You'll see these desks are smaller, and just a reminder, we're a public facility. And so these are going to be used mostly by people who are doing just general use computer things, checking Facebook, applying for jobs, going through and printing documents, checking social media. So we refer our customers that are not doing genealogy to this lab. You'll also see in the background of this slide a screen that's been pulled down. We hold some classes in here. I was telling Kate earlier, I taught a class called Genes for Teens earlier this week, actually at the end of last week, and it was a class with teenagers who came into the computer lab to learn a little bit more about doing their own personal genealogy. Was quite fun. As far as services are concerned, we do have several copiers. We have 3 self-service copy stations around the building. The picture you see in the bottom left is actually called a Zeta scanner. It's probably my favorite in the building. You put the book down with the words upright on this particular scanner. It also is hinged to help the spine of the book survive the process a little bit better. And you can see the images right away as you're scanning them. So a couple reasons I like that better. But we also have other copy stations where you can copy, you can scan to a flash drive. We also have a flatbed scanner. We have a new toy. It's actually here in the building, but it is not yet set up. So let me do top to bottom, and then we'll talk about the bottom section in just a moment. Available now. A lot of our customers do come in, and they will bring in slides, bags and bags of slides to go ahead and digitize so that they can convert those images to digital images, just in case everyone doesn't have a slide carousel projector sitting around their house anymore. It does 80 slides in 4 minutes. It will convert them to a flash drive. Actually, it saves them to an SD card, and then we convert them over to the customer's flash drive, and there is no charge for this service. This week, we actually received pieces and parts of a memory lab. It's just not hooked up yet, but as it gets ready and up and rolling, it's going to give customers the opportunity to digitize and convert images and sound to digital format. So you can see on this slide, it will accommodate 8mm film and VHS tapes. It can also be used to convert audio and cassette tapes to a digital format. It will have a way to do photographs more efficiently and to save negatives. And then, of course, if you want to use it for published resources, that will be available also. So the Memory Lab is going to be included in with our SlideSnap Pro to help customers convert images into a format that's easier to share with others and easier to just look at more frequently. So as we're talking about services, we also have what we call an oral history program. This is one of our favorite programs here at MGC. It was an initiative to find ways for the community to share their stories, to save them. And we're going to have this in several different ways. Pictured here at the bottom left, you're going to see a Tell Me a Story kit. This contains a digital recorder, release forms, question prompts. It even has some timing devices in it, like old debate card timers, cards. This is going to be used for people who want to check out the opportunity to go and record the stories of family members or friends, even to record their own memories in the process. And they're available, it's available for checkout, just like a regular library book. Because these are available for interlibrary loan, it's something that you might want to mark. We've had customers who check out Tell Me a Story kits when they're getting ready to travel to family or when they're getting ready to have a family reunion. I checked out a Tell Me a Story kit to go down and see my dad in Florida. We had my dad with us until he was 96 years old, and somewhere around age 93, it occurred to me that I really did need to start getting some of these stories recorded. So I went down to Florida with it, and I set it on the table, and I said, Dad, I just have one question I want to ask you, and if you'll allow me, I want to record the response. And so, he shrugged his shoulders first, and then I said, okay, Dad, you have lived 93 years. Who in your life has had the biggest impact on the person you became? And he talked for an hour and a half about his grandfather. And he talked about growing up in the Depression, and he talked about what they were allowed to do, what they were not allowed to do. He told stories about getting in little skiffs of trouble, and what it was like having a cousin close to him in age. Absolutely priceless memories that he was ready to share at that point in time. So when you use a Tell Me a Story kit, they come back to the library because, again, they check out like a library book. And when they come back in, my program director converts it over to a digital image, where digital, it is saved to CD, and you receive a copy of the CD, copy of the recording. She can also transfer it over to a flash drive if you prefer that. Tell Me a Story kit, when we do the conversion, you certainly can opt into contributing it to our collection, which then makes it available on our website, or you can keep it private if you so choose. But the recording that you receive back, you receive at no charge. There is a waiver inside the kit. So if you decide to do this, take advantage of this, make sure you fill out the waiver, because anyone speaking on the recording has to give their permission for it to have been recorded. So you can figure out that this oral history is just huge for genealogy. Just even having a person's recorded voice telling their own story, even their own, I was born in such and such a location, time, these were my parents. So we want to encourage this as much as possible. To that end, visitors who come to MGC can also record their stories in a designated oral history room, which is a room very much like I'm in right now, or they can go to the Tell Me a Story pod, which is shown here in this picture. In fall of 2023, so this fall, the Story Pod's going to be going mobile around the Kansas City area. So we're going to bring these recording opportunities to customers in other Mid-Continent Public Library branches and to community events. So the Tell Me a Story pod is just another facet. It is a traveling recording booth. It's intended to capture more bite-sized recordings than the one I told you about with my dad, really no longer than 20 minutes each. If you're looking on the image to the right-hand side, you can see that the pod pretty much comfortably fits 2 adults. And so like the take-home kits, recordings completed on site are processed and sent to customers either on a flash drive or a CD at no charge. So before we leave the Tell Me a Story kits, here's just one last little look at them on the shelf. Again, they are circulating resources, which means you can check them out through interlibrary loan if your local library participates in interlibrary loan. So the other kit that you would find on our first floor, the green banker bags, those are the Tell Me a Story kit. To the left, you're going to see some yellow bags with blue trim. Those are called bifocal, which is spelled F-O-L-K-A-L kits. And bifocal kits are multi-sensory. They offer a way to teach content on topics like music or African Americans or the 1940s and much, much more in a multi-sensory manner. So each one's going to have a DVD and a CD, as well as a set of papers, packets, usually about 25 packets. Usually there are visual images in each one. And then something that evokes the senses, whether it's a Ziploc bag of sachet or something that we had a young African-American woman come in with her grandmother, and she was just kind of looking around at the resources and trying to, she called her Granny, and she goes, Granny, let's look at this. This says African-American on it. And so she unzipped the kit and she pulled out a can of pomade. And the grandmother said, that's pomade. And she goes, oh, I hated that so much. And then the grandmother went on to tell all these stories about when she was younger and her hair and pomade and other things about her growing up, that you almost got the sense that without that impetus of leading her into the discussion, she might not have shared those stories with her granddaughter that day. It was very, very interesting conversation for all of us, but the granddaughter certainly got a lot out of it. We also have a large collection down at the bottom bullet here says genealogy CDs and DVDs. We certainly have a collection of DVDs related to genealogy that are available for customer checkout, but we have CDs, and most of our CDs are going to be recordings of conference speakers on a variety of topics. I recently checked out one for my husband who's doing Irish research, and took it home, and I said, just let me know what you think. And so we were talking about a week later, and I asked if he'd listened to the CD, and he said, I think this one was one of your older ones. In the middle, it said, stop and turn the cassette over now. And so we were laughing over that. And I said, well, okay, old or not old, did you get anything out of it? And then he went on to tell me all of the things he learned that he had not heard before about doing research on Irish ancestry. So we certainly can still learn, even if it has a prompt to turn over the cassette. Pretty funny. Other first floor resources. We subscribe to about 500 periodicals. You can see them on the shelves to the left. Those are going to be the most current editions. We also, after a year is collected of those periodicals, they are collected and they are bound, and then they are moved to another part of the library. So for instance, for resources from Indiana, we're going to move them into the Indiana section of the library, which largely is on the upper floor. We also have in this picture near the middle, you can see grab and go family forms to help customers start and stay organized with their research. One of the things we discussed at great length in that Genealogy for Teens class. And off to the right a little further, you can see our how-to books. According to Melville Dewey, those are the 929.1072s. And so we have moved our books that discuss how to do specific types of research down onto the main floor near those large computer stations, because we found that's where people are most interested in reading the how-to books. We also have, just behind that last shelf to the right, all of our books that have been acquired in the last 6 months. We also leave on the main floor because our regulars come in and they've already looked through an entire section of books and they want to know what we've recently added. So after 6 months, the books from the new book collection are moved upstairs, and then we move new books in all the time. Special collections. So as we're working our way towards the back half of the building, you're going to see that Midwest Genealogy Center's print and microform collections of city directories. You're also going to see a section of resources that are specifically related to immigration research. They're in that section called passenger list books. City directories, of course, provide all kinds of information for our research, from being able to locate the places where our ancestors lived in between censuses, to information found in the front or the back of the city directories that let us know what cemeteries were in the area at the time that our ancestors lived there, what newspapers were being published, what churches were in operation. So much more information can be derived from city directories. It is one of our growing collections because of the information that can be found within. Passenger list books are a little different. We do have in that section all of the collection of Philbys, or the Passenger and Immigration List Index. And then in that section, the books in the passenger list books are coded to Philbys. So if it's cited in Philbys, you may very well find it back in that very same area, again, to keep people from having to go upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. So we've moved things to be a little bit more related resources are all in one area. So microform. Moving still farther towards the back, which in our case is the east wall, You're going to arrive in the microform zone. This is where you can view hundreds of thousands of microfilm and fiche resources. The resources are going to range from early colonial records to contemporary newspapers. As you can see on this slide, an MGC online catalog search for a topic is only going to give you film and fiche titles from about 80,000 items that have been cataloged. But to view MGC's much more extensive holdings, the ones that are currently uncatalogued film and fiche, then you'll need to access the online MGC Holdings guides. These are found in the Resources for Genealogy and Family History page of the MGC website. You'll also see in this photograph off to the left a small wooden cart. Those hold the guides for people who are here in the library so that they can go ahead and pick up that holding guide on a topic of choice and find out what resources we have on that. You are currently looking at the film available for newspapers. That's the right and the left of that black cabinet. But if you look behind and to the right, you're going to see what we call the film vault. There certainly are a lot more film resources back in there. We love it when people tuck into microfilm. Since we have such an extensive set of microform, it's no surprise we're going to have a variety of microform readers also for customer use. And so we do have its own little lab with about 20 stations. All of the microfilm machines do hook up to film and fiche, do hook up to computers where you can scan and you can print the images that you see on the screen that are of interest to you, the ones that you want to save. Flash drives hook up to them, and there's also a printer in that room. We do charge 10 cents a copy for print. So as part of our duties as a public library, and just for groups that are coming in, we have consult rooms, and we have a number of different locations people can kind of settle in our library. Consult rooms will hold up to 4 people. We have 3 of them in our building. You can walk in and say, I'd like to reserve a consult room. You get that room for a 2-hour block of time. Reservations can also be made in advance online. And we find that these get used quite often by people who are studying for exams, in particular medical school exams. Sometimes people will, small groups, administrative, they're going to come in and say, we are the board and we're meeting before our society's meeting. So we're going to get organized and we'd like to use a consult room for that. Since we're talking rooms available, you are now in our programming room. This is where we hold most of our classes. And while small groups are going to prefer those free rooms, larger groups and groups that require technology for their meetings, they're going to likely gravitate towards the programming room, which is, again, what's shown here. The computer lab is another location that is available for public events. Fees are typically assessed for these 2 rooms, for the programming room and for the computer lab. Our genealogy classes, again, Kate and I were talking before this class began today. We had an interesting set of challenges during COVID in that we decided we wanted to keep teaching while the library was not completely open, and certainly while people were not moving about. And so we did a large study on making our classes hybrid so that we can continue to teach in person for the people who are seated in the programming room you're looking at here, but also so that we can broadcast through the Zoom platform to people who had begun to use our classes, our online classes, begun to attend with great regularity. And so if you are ever interested in attending our classes, I'll show you a little bit more about this later on also. But if a class has the word hybrid behind it on our events system page, it just simply means you can log in from wherever you are. You can attend that class. And so in a hybrid format, as a person who teaches these classes, it's kind of fun. Yesterday, I taught 8 people in front of me seated in the seats that you see here on this slide, and an additional 62 online, which was done to a little camera sitting in front of me. So it's been a wonderful way for us to continue to share genealogy tips and tools. as well as to continue to meet the needs of the people who are seated in front of us. We have 15 display cases around the building. In addition to displaying MGC archival resources, most of these cases, like the ones that you'll see here, they're going to offer community members and staff a chance to display family artifacts and special collections. You can see we have a Slovak display on the far right-hand side of this slide. 4-H display was next to them for the local 4-H. And what you're looking at on the left-hand side is actually our entrance into the building, looking back towards the parking lot. There are 8 display cases up front. We love it when our customers come to us and say, I have a collection of something that might be a good display topic. We just took down a baseball card display. And earlier we had a display of hats from various decades. Again, these are in some cases collections that are related to societies. We had a collection of toys earlier from the early 1900s or earlier 1900s. Just like the bifocal kits where a person's memory was jarred by something that they saw, we find that a lot when we're listening to conversations in this entryway, where someone will go, oh my gosh, I had one of those. Did I ever tell you about? And again, it's a way to kind of loosen up the stories so that we can make sure people are sharing those stories. We do have a rare book room on the first floor. It is where we house our archival books and our records. It is not public access as much as it is the records themselves are accessible to the public, but the room is not. This particular room has temperature control, moisture control, light control. So archival resources that require a specialized environment are housed in this room. Someone comes to the building and they would like to see one of these resources. They just have to follow the archival procedures and we bring them out to them. With that, we're going to move up to the second floor. So as you climb the stairs, which are pictured in the middle, or take one of the 2 elevators you cannot see off to the right, you're going to find yourself in a world of about 200,000 print resources from around the globe. It's important to note that the Midwest of Midwest Genealogy Center is our location. Our collection is global. The publications you're going to find upstairs are county, state, international resources, those bound periodical collections we talked about earlier, published family histories, and again, yearbooks and maps, much, much more upstairs. Our fiction collection is very small, and our Dewey Decimal collection, the 900s, which are the history books, is extensive, occupying actually all but about 4 ranges of shelves at Midwest Genealogy Center. So as you're looking at the library, if you can picture books all around this second level, everything you see from right here is going to be a book in Dewey Decimal's 900s, because that is the history section. The second floor reference desk that you see here is a popular and frequent stop for customers who are requiring just a little assistance in locating a print resource or a quick boost with family research. Second floor also offers researchers and students a place to again spread out and to read and to study. So you can see we have nice tables, big tables. Each one of them has an electrical outlet, which is a favorite place, again, for people who just want to come to a quieter place to review their research, to find new resources, or to study for things. There is a room that used to be cordoned off, and so it was called the Northeast Hall, and we have long since opened it because we needed the space to expand. And so the Northeast Hall is where we have our yearbooks, the family histories, the 9 to 9.2s. International resources are also in this area. This is where you're going to find also on the walls of the Northeast Hall, there is a significantly large piece of artwork detailing the Lewis and Clark expedition around the outside. This is where people are going to go when we're looking for societal information. And actually, this is the room that has all of the nonfiction books that are not the 900s actually are in this. If you do German research, you can see some those German city books off to the yellow ones off to the far right-hand side are there too. So shown here are our oversized resources, and barely visible down the right-hand wall are cabinet after cabinet of topographical, city, historical, topical maps that are used by customers really to better understand the places where their ancestors lived. My daughter and her husband came into the building a while ago. They live out of town, and I wanted to show my son-in-law the resources for his family, and we found an atlas that had his family's plat maps in it and a little bit about the family, and he was quite interested to see that they would have made the publication. So again, just about over 8,000 maps, and then other oversized materials are all back in this area. So that pretty much concludes the physical tour of the building, or the tour of the physical building. Of course, we do offer many services at Midwest Genealogy Center, and we ought to take a minute just to kind of talk about those as well. Earlier, I mentioned classes and looking into the opportunity to participate even if you are not local. We offer over a dozen introductory classes designed to help family historians research more effectively and efficiently. We call those our core classes. You can see beginning genealogy is one of them, using Fold 3, which is a database that's predominantly military records, with a large collection of Native American and African American resources as well. We have one class called Newspaper Databases at the Midwest Genealogy Center because we have over 24 of them. In addition to these core classes, we have specialized classes like those that you see here on the screen. These are offered several times a year to give customers an opportunity to really dig deeper into a particular topic or skill. Again, most of these classes are offered both in person and virtually through Zoom. Those are going to be the classes that are labeled as hybrid. So we always want to make sure that you're aware of coming events at the Midwest Genealogy Center on the homepage. Register for classes and programs of interest to you. And also just kind of keep aware of what is available out there. We've given you the website at the bottom to give you a direct line to that information. One of our most beloved services, I think, are consults. We offer free 1-hour consults with a staff member or reference associate. This is going to be for customers who need specialized genealogical assistance. These one-on-one appointments can help break through a genealogy brick wall, or they can give you a fresh perspective on your current research path, perhaps advice on potential steps that you might follow with your genealogy from there. We have done some consults virtually. Most of our consults, however, are one-on-one. We sit at a computer across the table from a person who has a monitor so that they can see what they're doing also. You can see this particular consult was free of computer use. So research queries. Probably the most used service that we offer are research queries. Query requests come in from all over the world. They are sent to the query team for their assistance for lookups from resources that are accessible here at the Midwest Genealogy Center. It's important to note that there are some restrictions to this free service, including those you see listed on this slide. So we limit to 3 questions per person per month. These are going to be lookups, not look-intos. So it's completely appropriate to say, my great uncle Cecil died on the 15th of October in 1999. I'm looking for his obituary. It is not going to be within our query policy to answer the question, I don't know what happened to my great uncle Cecil. Can you find him for me? And certainly we do not research living people as just a flat out policy. You can find out more about this research policy in the Get Started portion of our website, or you can just jot this down, mgc@mymcpl.org. That is the direct line to our queries team. That's where you will send your email in order to to get that email started in the process. Interlibrary loan, it's also important to note genealogy customers can take advantage of interlibrary loan. You can request both print resources and you can request, this says microfilm. This is going to be microfilm that is going to be brought into the Midwest Genealogy Center. We do not loan our microfilm out of the Midwest Genealogy Center, but print materials that are circulating materials, we are a part of WorldCat. And again, if your local library participates in ILL, then you can request resources from our building to be sent to you at home. In order to do interlibrary loan locally, you would have to have a Mid-Continent Public Library account. So you can see there is a request line there also. Last but not least, I promised I would try to be done by quarter after. I think I'm going to make it. We're going to just kind of look at our home page. This may be changing very soon. Home pages often do, but just a quick look at this. The home page, which is available, so many things are available, whether you are a Mid-Continent Public Library customer with a card or whether you're not. Down in near the bottom left corner, you're going to find fillable family forms like ancestor charts and family unit charts. Actually, that section also has all of the censuses from 1790 through 1950. So if you've ever done census research and you've tried to use a census scan that came out in 1790, 1800, 1810, 1820, you know that there were no pre-printed forms until 1830. So those very early censuses were hand drawn, and sometimes they didn't exactly do all of the headings at the top of the page on page 2 or 3 or 4. And so again, we have customers who use the family form section of our website to get a copy of what information was collected in each of those censuses, and then to transfer information from their view of the original onto the form itself so that you can now match it to the headings at the top. We have a section on our homepage called Online Learning. Online Learning is where you can find viewable, on-demand, introductory level classes. You can also access through the Get Started tab, but these are again available to anyone who wants them. They are going to range from beginning genealogy to using the newspaper databases. There's one called Tracing Your Immigrant Ancestors, and you can watch these classes whenever you want to. We also have on our homepage event registration, which we've talked about very briefly. And again, you get access to some of the 80 different databases that are available from home. Now the databases themselves are going to be to MGC or Mid-Continent Public Library card holders. If you haven't explored our website, we really recommend you take a few minutes at the conclusion of this presentation just to kind of look around. There's quite a bit there, and there's quite a bit that's accessible for people who are Mid-Continent access card holders, but also for people who are not. So if you're planning a visit, and we certainly hope you are, Midwest Genealogy Center is open 7 days a week. We are open Monday through Saturday from 10 to 8, and Sundays from 1 to 8. We do offer guest passes to our out-of-town visitors, as well as the opportunity to purchase a research card or a paid card, which gives you that home access to databases that's enjoyed by our local MCPL card holders. Customers are welcome when you come here to use your own laptop or ours. The Wi-Fi is always free, and flash drives are available for purchase if you forgot to bring one. Again, we talked about lockers that were discussed earlier, vending machines that are available for brain breaks throughout the day. We do require that any liquid taken out of the lounge area be stored in a spill-proof container. So the lid has to completely close, straws are not acceptable, and that's to protect our resources from computer resources to books that are really irreplaceable. So if you're coming with a group and you would like a group tour of our facility, for staffing purposes, we do appreciate advance notice. but we're more than happy to give you the physical tour, which has some other elements to it than what we've seen today. But really just to help you acclimate when you come to visit so that you can use your time as effectively as possible. And with that, we are to really just kind of wrapping this up. We are going to come back for Q&A. But again, I just wanted to thank you for letting me come introduce the Midwest Genealogy Center to you today and to share with you really what our customers see when they come in the building. So with this information, feel free to reach out to us at any time with your questions. We talked a little bit about queries, but if nothing else, jot down our phone number. We answer the phone all the time, and we're here to help anyone who needs assistance with their research challenges.
Thank you so much for presenting and for sharing all of that great information. We do have some questions for you. So we have a couple of questions about the cards, and if people out of state can buy a card to use from home, and if you could please speak to those a little bit.
Okay, so paid cards and research cards. The challenge here, and we are well aware of it, but it is beyond our control, is that both cards need to be purchased in person. It is not something, it is not available to purchase from where you are. You need to get it while you're here. Research cards are $35 and they expire in 6 months. Those are the most popular cards that are purchased by people coming to visit. But again, you have to be here in person to purchase them. They give you, basically, they have been calculated to come out to the same amount of money that a taxpayer would be paying. So you're kind of buying your way into being a taxpayer with that. For the state of Missouri and Kansas, we have a different type of agreement, and it's called a paid card. It's actually twice the money, so $70, for twice the time. So it is a 1-year card. The advantage for customers in Missouri and Kansas and the paid card is that while the research card expires in 6 months, the paid card can be renewed by contacting headquarters. So there's a different, if you're not going to be in the area, and again, you come from Missouri or Kansas, you have that opportunity to renew the card, but research cards are not renewable. Thank you.
We also have a question about the Tell Me a Story kit, and that you mentioned that there's a sign off, that there's paperwork, and someone's asking, is there a place to retrieve that online? They said they've recorded some family member stories before, but didn't think to have them sign for that permission. And she's also wondering, does the sign off cover verbal recordings and paper stories, or would those be different forms?
I would imagine, I don't know about paper forms. I know with our Tell Me a Story kits, when they go out to customers, they do have, my favorite part are actually, there's 4 pages of questions that many of them I would never have thought about asking, and all of them are in the right group of people, they could really expand your understanding of your family. The other paper in there is this form that has to be signed. It's more or less just permission to have recorded someone, and that because we're going to then take it that last step further and make it available in CD or in a flash drive format. So that's just a person authorizing, yes, I'm aware of what I did, and yes, I give you permission to finalize that process. These are not available, to the best of my knowledge, online. And I would imagine it's going to be different for video resource and print resource, but I'm not entirely sure. I would give you a website, and actually I can type it in the chat right now. This might be a question to send to our queries team and let them proceed with it from there. And that website is that email address is going to be mgc@mymc, I'm typing this in the chat, .org, and that is our queries team. Sorry, I typed noisily. So if you wanted to proceed with that, and we can certainly connect you with the person who generates our paperwork and see what we can do to help you.
Thank you. Someone else is wondering, do you plan to digitize your microform items?
Probably not. I have not heard of any plan to digitize microfilm. What we're attempting to do right now is to get it cataloged. We have a collection of National Archive film. We have a large collection of UMI film. We have all of the US serial set through 1969. We again have a large newspaper collection. We have over 55,000 films from Family Search Library. Back when they started digitizing, they were downsizing their duplicate copies, and we have over 55,000 of them in-house for people who need to use them here. We also have a large collection of state resources, colonial resources like the Draper Papers, Corbin manuscripts. So a lot of that is in film format, and it's probably going to stay film format. But we are attempting to get it to a point where when you do a catalog search on our website, it all pops up, as well as it as being in the holdings guides that give you a little bit more information about them. I would say one of the nice things about the holdings guides, they are available on our website, so you can see what's there. But they also give you not only the holdings, but it will give you a microform guide citation that lets you know there is a booklet that can help guide you through those resources. So in some cases, like the US serial set, it's an overwhelming quantity of information. But when you use the guides that are, in our case, they're sitting on top of the file cabinet. When you use the guides that are stacked across the file cabinet, it helps you look to see if an ancestral name is going to be in that guide and where you might go to find it, to really help you from just wandering through thousands and thousands potentially of film and fiche.
Thank you. Someone else is wondering what state's information is available. So I think they might be wanting to know if there are guides available for the materials that you have for certain states, or how they might navigate locating materials for certain states.
Okay, so what I would recommend you do, go to midwestgenealogycenter.org. You can remember the name of the building, and we are a .org. That's going to take you to our homepage. On the homepage is a search bar that would make it very easy for you to type in a state and see what references pop up. If you have a specific county in mind, that might be better still. Because again, there are a significant number of resources here. So you might want to tailor it down first of all. Something else you can do when you're doing a search of our website. Kate, do you mind if I share screen?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, let me kick out here. See what I can do. I'm going to get out of Zoom. Oh, I better not do that one. Hang on just one second. I'm going to open up our website so that you can see it, because it would be easier to describe this as we're looking at it. So give me just a moment here. You can tailor a search of our website. It's not popping up. Oh, there we go. Okay. This is our website. We can see it okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So when you're on our website, let me take just a moment and tour down and show you just a couple of things live. This is where we're going to find genealogy events that are coming, as well as future events. We had talked about family forms. We had talked about online learning. So this is just a little bit about that homepage. Genealogy Quick Look actually is a search of a lot of resources, including the Railroad Retirement Board records, which we have here. Actually, we have the index here. If you have someone that you're looking for an obituary or something, you can tuck into Genealogy Quick Look. If you find it, it gives you the opportunity to click a button that will let us know you want that resource sent to you, and we will scan it and send it to you. And again, there's no charge there. So that's a great place to know too. I want to go back up and answer your question. When you're doing a search for resources, we're going to, on the home page, use this search all resources. And so if you're looking for the state of Indiana, this is going to tell you in our catalog, we have over 5,000 resources available. And so to get that down to a more manageable number, you might want to set it up. I need to move something out of my way. To see the results in a catalog is going to give you a little bit better idea. Well, that's fun. Let's try that again. It's going to give you a better idea of what some of those resources are. One of the things that you can do in a catalog search, we'll see if this works this time. There we go. You can say, I want to know not only books that are available now at the Midwest Genealogy Center, which is a specific branch. We have 3,700 resources for Indiana. But you also, with our catalog search, you can go through and say, okay, I'm only interested in titles I can borrow and take home. Because now these are going to be resources that are available through interlibrary loan, if your library participates in interlibrary loan. So this is a way, and again, for people who are attending this that are local, this just means you can check it out and take it home. But if you are outside the Kansas City area, this is a way that you know what you can request through interlibrary loan to be sent to you from our facility. So we did a couple of things in that search. The first thing we did was an actual, I'm going to go to the Genealogy Center tab. If you go to Midwest Genealogy Center, it drops you off right here. We typed in a location. Once it came up, we viewed the results in the catalog. And once we had it to the catalog, then we just did titles I can, so that we knew what could be checked out. Hopefully that helps some.
That was helpful. Thank you. Let's see here. So someone is asking if there is a fee for the classes. Do you need to join the library to take them?
Free, absolutely free. Come join the band. No, we do all of our classes are absolutely free. We do not charge. We do have a spring seminar that is a charge event, and we do a fall lock-in that's absolutely a hoot in November, a nighttime lock-in. Those have fees because there's food involved, but no, classes are always free. You can see right here, Finding My Past was a class that was taught at 10:30 this morning, and it was taught in a hybrid style. So anytime you see that word hybrid, the next Find My Past class is actually tomorrow, but it's at the Parkville branch of our library, which is why it's not hybrid. Brick Wall is a class where you all sit down and you work together to kind of do some woodshedding as far as what could we possibly do to help one another over our brick walls. And with Brick Wall, we have one class that is discussion only in person, and then the following time the Brick Wall is offered, it is offered in Zoom capacity only. So kind of keep an eye on that one also. And Walkabout, since it literally is walking about the building, is not going to be hybrid, because that's not something we would do.
Good deal. So I think we have time for one more question, but I just wanted to mention, if we don't get to your question, or if anybody has questions that pop up afterwards, I'll stick our email here in the chat. And if you would like a copy of the chat from today's Zoom program, feel free to send us an email there as well, and we'll get that to you. So for our last question, someone is wondering if the family histories are online in any form, and if there's a link to those to that collection, or if that'll be available in the catalog as well to search.
So certainly you can search in the catalog themselves. A lot of the family histories are copyright protected, which is going to keep them from being available online. I would say we are an affiliate library with the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City. We have people who spend their days with us, amazing people who spend their days with us digitizing our resources. So, and those would be the resources that are outside of copyright boundaries. And so some of our resources you're going to find on Family Search website as a book search. That may be a place to go, but a lot of the family histories are written relatively recently to where they are still going to be copyright protected.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for presenting today. We really appreciate your time and for all of this great information. So we hope everybody has a good day. Thank you.
Thank you again for having me here today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.